A worn pickup truck races down a hick highway into the setting sun. Inside, Rodney sings along with some redneck song that's about to make the truck's blue light special speakers explode. Rodney is a healthy boy, but no mammoth. Amelia keeps him fed. His short, dirty blonde hair is ruffled and needs a good wash. His thin flannel shirt, faded blue jeans, and brown work boots need a good wash too. But they'd only get filthy tomorrow. His work-scarred hands beat on the taped steering wheel. Up ahead, he catches sight of a vehicle off the side of the road. He peers through his windshield, squinting his dusty blue eyes. The old sedan is wrapped around a tree Rodney's passed every morning and evening for the last 6 years. Car's a crippled mess. Rodney slows his truck and passes the wreck, eyes ricocheting between the car and the bloody pieces of fabric trailing off across the road. He turns his truck around and parks on the shoulder a few yards behind the wreck. He pauses. And then he gets out. He cautiously approaches the scene. He reaches the bloody driver's side and squats to examine the red tatters of what looks like a shirt. He looks inside the car. Dashboard meets front seat. No one inside. He looks up and down the road, across the road into the field of low dying grass. He shakes his head. He turns back to the wreck for the last time, and then walks back to his truck. True dusk. The sky's a graying blue. Black up from the horizon. Sunlight blazes through. Rodney pulls into the dirt driveway of the humble 2-story house that he and Amelia got for a song. All is quiet except the settling truck. He gets out while admiring his home in the Jesus sunset. Inside, a Soul Corner lamp they picked up at Supermart lights the living room. A yellow glow floats across the threshold between the room and the kitchen. The stairs remain dark. Rodney closes the front door. Amelia! Amelia! Saw an accident on Route 9. No reply. Rodney peeks into the kitchen. The dying daylight falls through the kitchen window and onto the linoleum floor. Through the window, Rodney sees the parched backyard. A riding lawnmower, as if the yard needed one, and a swing for two sit in dirt. No one is outside. In the kitchen, however, just Rodney. He checks the living room and then heads up the stairs. Amelia? You up there? Rodney pauses to let his eyes adjust to the dark. A floorboard in one of the bedrooms creaks. Amelia? Rodney approaches the closed door. He places his warm hand on the cold knob. He opens the door. Strands of sunfall stream through the drawn curtains onto Amelia. She sits on the edge of the bed, her back to Rodney. She doesn't acknowledge his presence. Honey, he says, you all right? Rodney puts a hand on her shoulder and she falls back on the bed. Rodney gasps at the sight of his love's shredded chest. He falls apart at a glance into her vacant eyes. Skin, beautiful creamy skin, is missing from the left side of her face. Her blouse is already browning with blood. Rodney stumbles backwards into the wall, unable to express his horror, unable to process the implications of what he's seeing. A crash from downstairs shatters the scene. He doesn't want to leave Amelia, but he does. He has to check out the noise. A vase on the living room floor. Jagged pieces everywhere. A groan creeps out from behind Rodney. A man with chalky white skin and a puncture wound to his chest. He wears a wet bruise around his fat lips. The man makes a slow grab for Rodney, his mouth agape. Rodney swats the man's arms away and tackles the man into the kitchen. Rodney finds the broom he bought after the last one started shedding bristles like an old man losing his hair. The man gets up, his eyes on Rodney. Only on Rodney. Rodney swings the broom and it connects with the man's head. Rodney swings again. The broom snaps upon contact. The man goes down again. Rodney lowers the broken broom. Fanatically, the man leaps for Rodney's legs, mouth ready for a bite. Rodney stabs the broken end of the broom in the back. It's the easiest thing Rodney ever done. He kicks the man away. He removes the broomstick and shoves it into the back of the man's head. The stick cracks the man's skull and brain, squishing all the way. The man falls on his face, dead, once and for all. Rodney steps back, and between breaths he mutters, "Oh, God." His hand finds the telephone on the wall and takes the headset. He's met with silence. He tries to dial the operator once he can get his hand to stop shaking for a second, but the line is empty. He lets the phone dangle from the wall. He looks down at the dead man and leans over to pick up his feet. He drags him to the kitchen door and then outside. Night. Rodney trudges up the dark staircase again. He goes into the bedroom where he left her, tears within tears welling in his eyes. The curtains swing with the breeze. She made them herself with a limited amount of profanity. He sits down on the vacant bed. He looks over at where Amelia last laid. He had to get her out of the house. He had made sure she was far from the intruder who probably killed her. He'd go into town in the morning, but now he wanted to be here, where he and her slept and made love and plans. Where she died. He turns and Amelia's in the doorway. "I was worried about you," he says. She steps closer and he sees the scowl on her face. He wants to shut his eyes and let her come to him. Her pointed fingers graze his cheek. Rodney backs up to the window. Amelia hisses from the gash in her chest. She falls towards Rodney, but he steps aside and throws her through the window. He watches the short drop to the ground. He wants to take that short drop head first. Instead, he races down to the kitchen, to the pantry where he keeps the baseball bat in case there's trouble and he can't call the police. Outside, Amelia can't get to her feet. Her body is broken, and her legs are intertwined in an unnatural pose. Rodney comes up on her with the bat. He closes his eyes and brings the bat down into his love's face. Living room. Rodney's been on the sofa all night. He stares at the television set that they bought when they first moved into the house. 32 inches was enough for them. Later. Early morning. Still dark. A county police car pulls up alongside Rodney's truck. George McDonald, deputy, is a big man with an even larger line of worry across his bushy brow. He gets out of the car, his gun drawn. As he approaches the house, he scans the yard all around him. Grateful to reach the door, he knocks. No answer. Rodney? Amelia? He knocks again. Rodney opens the door. George knows by the look on Rodney's face, but Rodney says it anyway. She's dead. George loses his thoughts and shakes his head. Rodney steps aside to let George enter. Rodney sits back down on the sofa. George stands. Where is she? George says. Backyard. Buried. Dead and buried. For some reason I knew I should bury her myself. So I did. How'd she die? Rodney doesn't answer. Instead, he says, there was an accident on Route 9. Yeah, I saw it on my way here. I couldn't find a body. It's in the back. Dead. He killed Amelia. George collapses into a corner chair. Shit. The world's gone to shit. TVs are out. Radios are out. Forget the phones. You and I may be the only ones alive in this town. Only ones alive? You are the only person, dead or alive, that I've seen today. I've been driving all over. I went to the Andersons. The mister is 80-something and the missus is pushing 70. And we're home. The car was still in the driveway. Hell, they don't even go anywhere. They got their neighbor to bring them places. But they were gone. Walkers and all. Where the hell did they go? Rodney mumbles a word. What? Rodney locks eyes with George. Heaven. They all went to heaven, and they left us here in hell. George sits back, letting his shirt cling to his sweaty back. He hopes Rodney isn't right, but he isn't in the right mind to come up with another explanation. So he sits with Rodney and tries not to think.